Okay, so welcome to today's core pelvic floor work. We are starting off with glute work again. As I said, your glutes and all that really do tie into your core and your pelvic floor, so it is important to not neglect them. We are starting off with this single leg glute bridge. This is a very advanced exercise, okay? And to really engage the right muscles, it is not easy. So what you want to focus on is you really want to focus that you're not in anterior or posterior tilt, okay? You want to inhale, fill those lungs with air, fill that back, get that 360 breath, and on the exhale, really focus. Pull your pelvic floor, those lower abs, and lift the hips up, okay? If you aren't feeling this exercise in your glute, but rather you are feeling it in your hip, this means that this exercise actually might be a bit too advanced for you. And what we do need to do is regress it. So I've done 4 on each side here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the regress version. But if you can do those single leg glute bridges, keep doing the single leg glute bridges, another 4 on each side. So here we're doing a march, okay? So you want to inhale, exhale, get that deep pull. You're up in that glute bridge position. You can either do the inhale, exhale, and do one leg at a time, and then inhale again, and then do the exhale and do the other leg. Or if you want, you can inhale, exhale, and do both legs at a time. Once again, the key here is to be able to keep your hips high, to not have your hips shifting, and that you are feeling this exercise in your glutes, not in your hips. Once again, if you're feeling it in your hips, then you want to regress it down to just a regular glute bridge and get strong and engaging your core, your pelvic floor in this exercise. So next up, I'm going to be doing clams, okay? Once again, it's a bit more of a glute exercise, but it is a great pelvic floor exercise. So as you can just see here, I have realigned my ankles to make sure that they are in line with my hips. And then you want your hips in line with your shoulders so that everything is just sort of aligned. How far you open your legs is super dependent, okay, into what you're able to do. But the key is you don't want your hips to roll backwards, rotate. Like you want your hips to stay completely still. So when you are opening that leg, you do have your hands sort of by your hip as you see me putting it there to really make sure that your hips are not moving. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. If you are got quite a weak core and weak pelvic floor, then I would do my inhale, get my exhale going, and then start opening up the legs. However, if you find that this is quite easy, then what we can do here is practicing inhale and then exhale as the legs are opening, okay? The reason why I like this exercise so much for that sort of like pelvic floor work is because really, it's actually quite hard to engage your pelvic floor when your legs are separated. You'll find that if you're trying to do it when you're doing it in a squat, when you're at the bottom of the squat, to really get that deep pull from your pelvic floor is not easy. So this is a really good way to start practicing that movement. So as you can see on this side, I have a little bit less range of motion. That's totally normal. Each sides are not symmetry. It's something that I need to work on myself. Okay, so once again, we're really focusing on inhaling, getting that 360 breath everywhere. And on the exhale, for me on this exercise, I'm really focusing primarily pelvic floor and then a little bit lower abs and then getting those legs to open. Okay, once again, hand on the hip. If you feel like your hip is shifting, okay? And the moment you feel like your hip bone is rolling backwards, that means that you have reached the range of motion that you can control this movement in without compensating. And then we're going to move into a dish hold. So I really like this for a progression to basically towards a hollow hold. And what I'm going to be doing here is we're just going to be holding up in this position that I'm in now, okay? So I am holding for 5 seconds and then I'm lowering myself back down. I'm inhaling, getting that 360 breath. I'm focusing on that exhale, getting that pelvic floor, those abs all pulled in so that everything's nice and flat. And then I'm holding for about 5 seconds before releasing. I like to just basically reset in between each exercise just to really make sure that I am getting the deepest pull I can. Now, if you want to do a more advanced version, you do not have to relax and then you can keep up and then you can focus on inhaling and exhaling in the motion, okay? You might see a little bulge as you inhale, but as long as you can flatten that back down on the exhale, there is nothing to worry about. If you feel like you are bulging and that you are unable to flatten, then maybe this exercise is a bit too hard for you and we need to focus on regressing that too.